Hello out there, it's Julie. Welcome in. Today I am finally going to be talking about the Oak, Ash, and Thorn Tarot. This is by Adam Ohlers and Stephanie Burrow. Adam Ohlers is the illustrator, and I have been following him on Instagram for a very long time, and that's how I found out about this deck. This is a deck that I didn't think that I would really like reading with, and I solely collected it for the art because I had been following Adam Ohlers for a while. So after I did the initial look through, I put it aside because I couldn't really connect with the imagery at first, but I love the art, just not for tarot. So it just sat idly by as I would pass it up for other decks. However, in the month of November, I was going to use it for my daily journaling, and I did, and I am so glad that I did because I absolutely adore this deck now. The images are warm, they're inviting, they ask you to really sit with them in their woodland world, And I found the connection to nature to be quite calming, and it was helping me to sort of get back inside of myself. There's this continuity of symbols that flows from card to card that leads to a visual connectivity between them, and this adds another layer to play and work with. So while it is Rider-Waite inspired, or Rider-Waite-Smith inspired, it also feels like it's its own thing, lending itself to being a good intuitive reader if you're in the mood to go a bit off course, which I really appreciate. The composition of the images beckon you in, and they ask your eyes to kind of like wander around the detail, wander into the scene, put yourself in the scene, And I love that about this deck. So while I do love jam-packed, heavily symbolic decks, sometimes I just need to let my mind flow, and this deck is like a gentle hug I didn't know I needed. I found myself getting emotional when I was doing some readings with it, and because these are the backyard animals in where I live, for the most part, minus the badger, it feels like home. So I only have, I take astrology with a grain of salt, but I only have one water placement and one earth placement, and everything else is water, fire. And I need grounding, and this deck grounds me. And the most important thing I learned from this deck is do not discount a deck without giving it a fair shake. So I'm so glad I spent the month of November with this, and I know exactly how this deck is going to be useful for me going forward. So with that said, we'll get right into it. Okay, so when you open up the box, you're going to have a bunch of cards in there. This card is just a thank you for the purchase, share the love, gives you their information. And then you have cards that have the suits and the numbers and the meanings for each of those, as well as those are for the minor, this is for the major. You also get 2 extra blank cards to make notes or maybe even create your own card. So that's nice. So here are the majors, and it starts with the Fool, which I love that it's a baby deer and that it ends with the world being almost like this baby deer has gone through the Fool's journey and is now passing on the knowledge to the new generation. I think there's something just so beautiful about that. And the cards, they're gentle, but when you really start reading them and looking around in them, they're very loud in a subtle way. I'm not quite sure how to explain it. The energy of this deck is very subtle. I will say that. This emperor really feels like the king of the forest. He appears strong and fearless, but yet his horn is cradling the moon, which suggests that he is not devoid of emotion. He is in touch with his emotions, but he only allows it to come out when allows them to come out, I should say, when absolutely necessary. This is my favorite card in the whole deck, and I'm not sure why. I just think it's so sweet and fun, and I'm actually wanting to contact the artist about seeing if I can get like a lithograph of this to hang in my house because I just think it's such a great card. Now this reminds me of my favorite video of all time, Honey Badger Don't Care. And here is the snake that he just wants to eat, right? And I know that may be stupid, but that video, there's not a time where I will not laugh my ass off watching it because it is just so hilarious. And if you haven't seen it, you should, and I'm sure everyone has seen it at this point. If you haven't seen it, you need to go see it. Now, this is not a honey badger, but it's a badger and a snake. And I don't know if he did that on purpose, but I just thought it was really kind of funny. This is just a sweet little hermit. Like, oh, who doesn't love a hedgehog, right? Wheel of Fortune with its web, Justice. And I love the Hangman. You know, this mouse just has to surrender to the storm and wait for it to pass before he can go frolic in the grasses again. Love this tower. The star. Now, this moon I really love. Um, it says to me that unearthing what needs to be brought out is a passive activity that can be best done during meditative and sleep states. That's how I interpret this moon card. And there's actually something to really be said about that. I've had a really tense last few weeks, and my dreams and my meditations are really unearthing a lot of things that I didn't even know still existed within me. So this card is really impactful for me right now. This version of the moon, illustrating the moon in this way. It's a very passive card, but that passivity can bring forth so much activity. And I just think this is just a beautiful version of the moon. And I love Judgment with its, massive butterflies. It speaks to this powerful transformation. And then we end on the World. And then there's an extra card, Possibilities. And I love the notion of possibilities because anything really is possible for the most part. I mean, obviously, there's some limitations in certain areas of life, but for the most part, if we can dream it, it can be possible. So that's what I love about the majors. Those are my favorite things that stand out about the majors. And I don't know, this deck, even just looking through it, it just makes me so happy. It just, it's like I can sigh, I can breathe again. Okay, so here we are with the cups. And I have to say, this is definitely a Rider-Waite inspired deck, but it does its own thing too, which works for me because it does allow my mind to reach for ways of interpreting particular cards in a way that I wouldn't necessarily do it with clone Rider-Waite Smiths. And I really appreciate the artist for doing that. And I think with these cards too, specifically, each individual card, you can read something into it, but it's not until you start putting the cards together, and I think reading them in a spread or a layout, that it's really, the power of this deck really seems to come out. It's a very restful deck. There's a lot of peaceful energy within this, and I think that's really why I love it so much. It's just so calming and therapeutic. And I love these hearts repeat on the animals throughout the deck. You'll see these little hearts coming in different cards, different suits. So those are the cups. Next, we are moving on to the wands. So I love this suit being foxes. I love fox. I love watching the fox in my backyard. I love catching the fox on our Ring camera. And watching them try to eat like all the bugs off of our front porch when the lights are on at night. It's a lot of fun. I actually left a dog toy out there, and the fox took it. I just decided to give the fox a toy to play with. So here we have the Two of Wands, the Three of Wands. I think that's a beautiful version of the Three of Wands, as it's looking down the path into the distance. Having sat here comfortable in his home, and now he's ready to wander off into the forest down the path. I think that's beautiful. This is a beautiful Six of Wands. It's very Cinderella. I don't know. I think all these little bluebirds in here, I don't think they're necessarily bluebirds, but they are the color blue. It reminds me of the scene in Cinderella with all the birds tying the ribbons and stuff. Excuse me. Seven of Wands, a sneaky little fox. Eight of Wands. I think that's a really beautiful interpretation of it. The Nine of Wands. This 10 of Wands I really like. I appreciate the fox laying down to rest. He may still have been healing from the 9, right? Because we see that there's an injury that he sustained. So here in the 10, it's sort of like he's healing from all the responsibility and whatever injuries may have been taken on during that time, but he understands he needs to rest the mind and the body to be most effective. So he was willing to lay down his wands for a period of time so he could recuperate. I love this Knight of Wands. Queen of Wands. Let's see, here's the heart again. The King of Wands. And it's got the lizard Orbus. Is that what it's called? I can't say it. You know, with the snake with the tail in its mouth. Yeah, so there you go. These swords are represented by crows, some of my favorite birds. They're so intelligent, so intelligent. Sorry, I was about to say something with this. I was just looking at the sword and how instead of it being upright with the crown on the top, it's inverted with the crown down here, almost like he has to pull the sword out and learn how to use it in order to have the crown sitting upon his head. This is a beautiful card too. Here we are with the heart. Three of Swords. 4, 5, 6 of Swords. I kind of like this, that there's this crow and it almost seems like it's in spirit and it's going to be guiding them to where they need to go. Beautiful 8 of Swords. It's a beautiful card too. Beautifully illustrated. We have these butterflies seen throughout the deck. Knight. Here he's blind. He's not seeing where he's going. So this says to me that there may be some impulse driving him or her. And I love that the Queen and the King of Swords are looking back, right? They're looking into the direction of the past, which suggests that their wisdom and knowledge comes from lessons learned. They are able to be clear and direct and decisive, both passively and actively, due to the fact that they have been through it before. So when they're doling out advice or you come to them seeking advice, what they give you is the truth, and it's honest and it's straightforward, and it may be blunt and it may not be what you want to hear, but it may be what you need to hear. And they are only saying it because they have been there. So they know what they speak, right? And unlike the Knight, who sort of is a bit impulsive and rash, they've already been in this stage. So they're not going to be giving you advice that they just come up with. It's going to be well thought out, clear advice. So anyway, I love that they're looking to the past in order to bring forth the information that they may be seeking or others may be seeking. So here we are with the Pentacles, and they have these sweet little, there's the sweet little heart again. I don't know if there's a book for this deck. The little instruction cards didn't really give me much in the way of the meaning of the hearts or the symbols. So I kind of like that you can read into it what you'd like. Now, I'm sure that there may be a book that explains it, but anyway, I'm not going to go into that right now. I'm getting off track. Let me focus. This Two of Pentacles, I think I really like, because, you know, if we go on the basic keywords of the Two of Pentacles being about having to juggle, you know, this rabbit, this bunny has to go out and find food and hunt for the food at the same time while taking care of the young children. So it's giving you the concept of juggling. You know, on the surface, this just does not seem like it would be as an amazing of a deck as it is, right? And again, the artwork, there's no denying this artwork is absolutely spectacular. Love this Five of Pentacles. But really, it wasn't until I used it and had spreads before me that I saw the true beauty of this deck and how it made me connect back to myself. And I know nature themed decks aren't for everyone. And they weren't for me really until I started using this and I saw how much I can be grounded personally by a nature deck due to the fact that I am just totally ADHD and, you know, Gemini, Libra, right? I'm all air in my three major signs. So this deck just, like I said, it feels like that hug I didn't know I need. I wouldn't say that this is an ideal deck for beginners, but it most definitely is a beautiful deck to own, even if it's just for the art. I mean, you could use it if you were a beginner, but I don't necessarily think it's the most beginner friendly deck. It would be like get your Rider-Waite Smith and this deck, right? This is kind of a and. Or if you've been studying tarot for a while and you're looking for a nature deck that is grounding, there just really is something that just when you start reading with it and like looking deeper into it, it comes alive. So anyway, I'm sorry. I feel a little out of it today, so this wasn't as as lively as I was hoping this video would be. But I kind of wanted to get it done so I can move on to other things. So anyway, I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I will catch you later. Bye.